We'll get started. Okay, guys, Chartmasters. Chartmasters is KW specific. We have an exclusive relationship with a gentleman named Chuck Carr, who is a former IBM computer guy. And what he does is he goes into the FMLS system every, excuse me, oh my goodness, goes into FMLS every, he was doing it every week, and he's also pulling the report each month and each quarter for in-town properties, townhomes and condominiums, as well as single-family properties. What we're trying to do is go into more detail than your standard MLSs are doing to give you the most up-to-date material and data so that, of course, you can share that with your customers and your clients, and obviously understand it for yourself too. So Chartmasters is really designed for there's some presentation material. There's, of course, also a number of slides that I think that you should print out in color. And basically, you know, every quarter you print out 5 or 6 of these slides, and you have them in your bag ready to be pulled out in case you need them to support an argument. So I'll give you an example. Well, I want to list at 350, even though you're saying list at 325, and after 2 weeks we'll come down in the price, right? So we know that the activity that a listing gets at the very beginning of its listing period is going to be more than they'll ever see again. And so when you're introducing the property to the world, you want it to be at the best price possible, not just kind of messing around and then you'll regroup in 2 weeks when no one's paying attention anymore and give it the right price, right? So not only, it's not sometimes good enough just to say like, oh, that's a bad idea, or I don't think you should do that. Really where the rubber meets the road is to say, look, here is a third-party independent evaluation of why that may be a great idea or it may be something you want to reconsider, okay? So there are a lot of different reports here, but the one that I have decided to share with you guys is, hang on, what's up, Charleston? All right, hang on just 1 second. Let me make sure I have the right one. What is going on here? Hang on, sorry, I'm almost done. Why is that not coming up? Sorry guys, one moment. Okay, can you all see that?
No.
Nope.
How about now?
No.
All right.
There it goes. It's starting the screen sharing right now.
Okay, cool.
Yep, there we go.
All right, beautiful. So what I want you to do is go back in here and I want you to read through this material, right? Scripts, why should we show the stats to prospective sellers, right? I want you to read through this material so that you understand why it's important, why it's unique, and why these are, this is an investment that we make in you guys. Without going through like a ton of the, where this data comes from, this is the 41 Metro Atlanta FMLS areas right here, okay? So that's basically where all this data is coming from, okay? I wanna go through, I'll just kind of scan through a number of slides so that you can kind of get a real good idea of what's going on. This is detached and condo townhome residences. These are the percentage of market share of closed transactions, okay? Keller Williams has 20.1% of the market in Metro Atlanta. The next 5 brokers together don't even have that, okay? We are by far the #1 broker for units sold in the area. Okay. Here's a slide that I'd like to share with you, which basically says almost no matter what, whether we think this market is busy or not busy, there's a very similar number. These scans or these little humps right here. This is essentially showing us that there's generally a similar amount of homes that are selling year after year after year. See that? Okay. Hang on. Okay, this is kind of what they call party chatter. Okay, by the way, we moved the all group session from Thursday. It is now at 12 o'clock rather than 3 o'clock. And that allows you to join Andy and Leslie between 2 and 4 on Thursday for their rendition of Chartmasters. Okay, we're just going to touch on some of the basic concepts today. They'll go into a good bit more detail. Okay, this report is available. Lucy sent out full instructions on how to find it in the office's intranet on Friday or Thursday or Friday of last week. Did everyone receive that email? Okay.
Yes.
Is anyone going to show me what they look like today?
Received it.
Showed you for
What? You're on mute, Charleston.
No, I was saying I showed you for a quick second, and because my picture looked better, so
You look great. No worries. You look great. Okay, so year-to-date sales. This is second quarter 2020. Okay, year-to-date sales down 9.2% versus last year. As you can imagine, that's probably because of COVID. Okay, median list price to sales price ratio 98.2%, up 0.5 points from this time last year. Not particularly significant. Okay, the dark gray is 2018. Let me see if I can. The dark gray, if you guys can see that here, is 2018. The light gray is 2019, and the red is this year, 2020. Pretty steady. Okay, 98.2% is what the median list price to sales price ratio is. 98.2%. Okay, up slightly, 0.5 from this time last year. And the median days on the market is now 25. That's up 4.2% from this time last year. Okay, this time last year is 24 days. And interestingly enough, it's down from the first quarter from 41 days. So it used to be a median number is 41 in the first quarter of this year. Now it's 25. So homes are selling faster, right, than they were last quarter. And they're pretty steady with where they were the year before. Does everyone follow that? Okay, median sales price is up 4% over last year. Okay, it's also up over, what would that be? Almost $20,000 from first quarter. First quarter was $294, and the second quarter median price range was $312,000. Okay, as you can see, dark gray, it's going up almost every. It went up first quarter to second quarter, then it went a little down, right? And then at the beginning of 2019, it was up higher, went a little higher, and the decline was a little lower. Now you see 2020 in red is even higher than those respective quarters in 2019. People follow that? By the way, that does not mean that every single house in every single part of town has increased by 4%. Does everyone follow that? Does everyone know what the difference between median and average is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. More than likely, this is because prices are appreciating and there's not that much distressed property for sale, right? Not many foreclosures, not many short sales, etc. And those tend to be on the lower end. Now, this is interesting. Change in number of homes sold. We were up 9.1% in the first quarter pre-COVID and down 21.1%, okay, in the second quarter. Okay, decrease will somewhat smaller after lag closings are processed. Okay, so what does this tell us? You're gonna have to fight harder for the sales that occur. Okay. And more than likely, what I think it tells us is that we had very small declines at the end of 2018 and beginning of 2019. But for the most part, we've been on the positive side, right? And with this drastic shift that probably wasn't, I don't want to call it an anomaly, but I think that we're going to see a pretty big increase on the opposite side as people, begin to list their homes again. They feel a little bit more comfortable about getting outside. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, shout it off if you got any questions, okay? Some of these slides are, I think a little bit more important than others. So you had a little bit of a dip in kind of throughout March and April and May, and now it looks like we're right back up on the increase, okay? Here's the slide that the longer the home is on the market, the number sold declines, meaning the best chance you got to sell your home is at the very beginning of the time it's on the market. Okay. Here's a little summary piece as you compare it to the current seller's market versus what we were dealing with in January of 2009. January of 2009 was the height of the buyer's market. So then we had 31,121 active listings. Now we only have 9,200. Instead of 16.1 months of supply, we only have 2.1 months. So more buyer competition. There's fewer bargains. Over 40% of properties at that time were distressed, for short sales or foreclosures. Now it's not even 1%. So there's fewer bargains, more activity in the marketplace, more homes selling. The median sales price used to be $143,000. Oh my gosh, it's more than doubled since then. Okay, median days in the market, 145 days, now it's 31, okay? And a median percentage of list price to sales price ratio used to be 80.3%. Now you're at 98.1%. Okay. Back then, 75% of homes needed a price reduction in order to sell. And even after that, 74% of homes didn't even sell, failed. Now we're down to 37% of homes need a price reduction in order to sell, and only 26% are not selling.
Hey, Bill, can we go back to the previous slide? I had a quick question. Sorry.
This one?
Yes, and where it says 98.1%,
yeah.
What does it mean, less negotiation?
Meaning sellers are not having to negotiate as much off of their list price in order to get a buyer. Because on average, they're selling closer to their list price. So before, on the median sales price to list price ratio, 11 years ago, used to be 80%, meaning that a buyer would be able to get 80% off of the list price. Now they're barely able to get 2% off the list price. Follow that?
Okay, got it, yes.
So sellers are having to negotiate less. Did I miss somebody?
No, I was saying 20% off the list price. I think
right.
You said 80% off.
Oh yes, you're right. Thank you for correcting me. Okay. This is how price reductions are impacting the market. Okay. This is more than 34%. This right here, 34.7% of properties in 2020, the red bar, are needing a price reduction in order to sell. Okay, that's down from first quarter and it's down from second quarter of last year. So again, that's what happens when you have little inventory on the marketplace. The buyers jump at it. Okay. This is the same slide, but broken down into price ranges. So this is all price ranges, and this is 100 to 200, 200 to 300, 300 to 400, etc. So once you get up in that $750 to $1 million price range, right, almost 40% of those properties are needing a price reduction. Whereas if you're 100 to 200, you're much less. You're 32% of those properties, right? So you want to make sure that you're giving the prospects the most accurate information, and you can speak to the statistics from the 30,000 foot view from the market standpoint, and you can also go in detailed and look at the price ranges. Okay. I'm not crazy about that slide. Okay. This one right here. What happens if the price does not need a price reduction? That's what you find in red. Okay. And if it does need a price reduction, that's what you find in gray. So I want to spend a moment on this slide. Okay. This is telling us that in general, let's just look at total for a second. Okay. If the property is listed and does not need a price reduction prior to it going under contract, it will sell at a median percentage of 100, meaning half of the properties will sell above list price, okay? And half of the properties will sell below list price. 100% is the median percentage of list price to sales price ratio, okay? If you do need a price reduction in order to sell, you're gonna get 93.6%. That's 6.4 percentage points lower that they will get as a sales price if they don't get the price right on day one. For a $500,000 listing, that's $32,000. You stand a much greater risk at higher prices. Okay, look at the spread here. You bought a $1 million to $1.5 million listing price. Look at that, it's over 10% difference. It's $100,000 extra it could cost that seller. Okay, look at this, 100 to 200. If you get it right, you're at 100%. They'll get exactly what they're looking for on average, or median, I should say. If they don't and they have to lower the price, they're only going to get 91.2%. So this is a great slide to show somebody that's fighting with you on the initial price. When they say, oh, we'll just lower it later. Yeah, you will lower it later, and a lot more than you want to. Does that make sense? There's another way of looking at that same data, okay? Total, if the home does not need a price reduction to sell, it will sell in a median number of days of 10. Otherwise, it's going to take 97 days as a median number of days on the market if the home had to have a price reduction. So let's say you're sitting in front of a seller who owns a home that should be priced between $200 and $299. They basically have two choices. One, they can price their home correctly with your help, and then they'll make their bed 9 days before they get a contract. And by the way, the contract will be for nearly 100% of their list price. However, if they don't get the price right, they will sit on the market for 76 days, and they'll get 94.6%.
Leave it.
What? What? Who said something? Okay. So, Mr. Seller, would you prefer to make your bed 9 days in a row or 76 days in a row? Okay, good. So we need to be at this price. And that way we can expect something very close to 100% of our list price. If we price it higher than we should, then you will be lucky to end up with 94.3%. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm driving, but I pulled over. I'm gonna put on the camera for a second. Can you see me? I can't tell.
Yeah.
Okay, so I met with a for sale by owner, and he gave me this little printed out sheet with what the work he did around his house, or his upgrades as he calls them, and then how much he paid for it, excuse me, and then what he thought that was worth. And his total is that he's saying the total upgrades in the house are $187,000.
Okay.
And I tried to explain to him that doesn't mean you can just add on $187,000 to your cost of your house and the value of your house. It was very, his mind was determined that is what he's going to get, that this is he's sticking to this, that this is what he's going to do, this is how it's going to happen. So at that point, am I just beating a dead horse if they're not willing to negotiate, or like at all?
So I always like to bring up, you got to bring up something to compare it to. So for example, he gives you that list and he says, I want my home to be worth $187,000 more, right? So rather than dissecting, okay, well, installing a bunch of cabinet knobs does not increase your property value by $400, right? You just have pretty knobs, right? Putting on a $10,000 new roof doesn't make your home $10,000 more expensive or valuable. The home's supposed to have a functional roof. If your roof wasn't functioning properly, you needed a new one. It just so happens to be new. So if all other factors are identical and house A has a new roof and house B has an old roof, yeah, they probably will pick A, but I don't know if you'll get a whole lot more value for it, right? So there's a difference between value and what somebody paid to put the home in that condition. Dissecting that list, though, is not going to really serve either one of you that well. What you need to do primarily is show him or her what else can be bought, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, what does he want for the home, roughly?
About 400
And in
change.
your opinion, what do you think it's worth?
I would say in the 300s. I don't think the other houses in the area aren't going for what he's asking.
So he's way over improved?
I think he is. I mean, I just, I was only in the house for about 15 minutes and I looked around, but I also think some of the stuff on his list is really inflated.
So he said, hey, I did this, it cost me $2,000 and I think it's worth $6,000.
Basically that, and like he has a kitchen remodel that he did in 2013, but we're already at 2020 now, so that's not a brand new kitchen. That kitchen is, gonna be a little bit older and a little bit outdated.
So we remember, people want to be right and feel good. So fighting him on that list is not going to be helpful. What he needs to see is what else a buyer can buy. So if, for example, he believes he has a $400,000 home, then your job is to show him if somebody's in the marketplace for a home in that rough area for roughly $400,000, what else can they buy?
Okay.
And it's that simple. Mr. Seller, these 17 homes are also available between, let's say 380 and 420. Okay. I think all the work that you did is wonderful. And a lot of the other sellers also did work on the home. What my job is to help you understand where you have to price your home to position it on the market such that buyers line up to buy it. Because if you don't appear to be the most valuable property on the market, they are going to buy the property that is the most valuable property on the market, right?
Okay.
So I brought you out a few homes to look at. Look at this one. It's 600 square feet bigger than yours. It also has granite and stainless steel, and it has a finished basement, and it has a fenced backyard, and it has a 2-story family room, and it's got moldings and new lights and all that other crap that's on your list, right? And it's available for $390, and it's been at that price for 6 months. So debatably, that price is wrong, right?
Okay.
So don't give him a hard time about his list. You have to show him that I don't care what your list looks like, that home's more attractive. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Did you go over there to do a listing appointment, or did you go over there to like preview his house? What was the energy?
To preview his house, and like we didn't divide his list or anything like that. I just looked at his list and I said, thank you, and we talked about the house, and he was explaining to me all the upgrades, but we didn't go into them. I just had asked him about like some of the stuff, and he had just said that that's made his house worth this much more, and that there was another house down the street, and he was telling me why his house was better than that house, and I didn't want to get into right then and there because this was my first time meeting him, and I didn't want to leave him with a sour taste in his mouth that I think his house is not worth what he thinks it is.
Right. So that's why the most of the presentation stuff is questions, right?
Okay.
Why are you thinking about selling? Where are you planning to move to? When do you have to be there by? Tell me a little bit about the activity you've gotten, right? So you can call this guy back in 3 days and say, hey, is the home still available? How many offers have you received? How many showings did you get? or have you had? How many of those phone calls and showings are real estate agents? Is there anything I can do to help you right now? Call them a couple days later. Hey, is the home still available? How many offers have you gotten? Right? And you have a system of communicating with him very, very systematically, very, very often, not at just straight to the point. Have you been successful or have you not been successful? Right?
Okay.
And the fact that he's overpriced works in your favor. Right?
That is,
Yeah.
that's just such flawed logic. Is he not taking into account what he removed?
What do you mean removed?
Like, say, for instance, you have a $10 bill down on the table, and I take that $10 bill, put it in my pocket, and put a $20 bill down. Now you have $20, but do you really, did you gain $20? No, you only gained $10. And I mean, it's still like, if you're pulling out floors and putting in more expensive floors, you're still only gaining what the difference is between floor A and floor B.
You know,
Right.
that's a very good point. I've actually never explained it to somebody that way, but I like your angle there.
I'm totally stealing that.
Yeah.
Go for it.
The key is not to say you're wrong. The key is to say, help me understand how you're right. And then you're poking, holes in that logic, right? Or you're just introducing additional options. And he can operate on whatever logic this gentleman wants to operate on. But the fact of the matter is if his price is wrong, or the condition is not great, or his marketing or exposure is below what it should be, then he's not going to be successful. And so when you're asking him those questions and you're saying, so tell me a little bit about, is the home still available? How many offers did you receive on the property this week? It's reminding him that he's failing.
Okay.
Right.
They want to go to Florida and they want to get there as soon as they can sell the house. So what I told them is, I'll do anything I can do and help you do whatever you need to get to Florida. So I think that's kind of what I'm trying to, act like I'm helping to get them to where they want to go, because I don't think they're going to be moving anytime soon.
So what was the energy when you left? It was like, I'll tell you if I have a buyer, or let me flirt with you about being a seller's agent.
I kind of left it open-ended. I had told him going in that I didn't have a buyer lined up for the house, that I was just wanting to preview it so I know what's out there so I can tell them. And he was asking like my opinion on things. And I just told him that Keller Williams, we have stagers, that I know some great agents that are stagers, and that's a service we provide if you do decide you want to go ahead and sell your house with Keller Williams. And I think he kind of liked that, and his wife kind of liked that. But I told him when I said, is it okay if I call you once a week to see if the house is still up, or if you guys are packing to go to Florida? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. You can do that. And I told him, okay. And then he said he'd give it some thought about the staging. So.
Great. So the next thing I would do is find a home that's prettier than his, with a similar price, and send it to him. Say I was doing a little bit more information. I was doing a little bit more research about your property and nearby properties that are available, right? Including those that are listed on the multiple listing service, meaning yours isn't, right?
Right.
Including those that are listed on the multiple listing service. And here's one that I found. I don't know if you've seen this one, but it's got an extra bathroom and an unfinished basement, and it's priced at $395. Have you seen this listing?
Okay.
So after having seen this, does this impact your strategy? Do you feel like you need to, what's the best way that you can compete with this property? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And let him answer that question. So he'll answer that question and say, actually don't really know how I can compete with that property. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you've got him, because now your ideas are going to help him get to Florida. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. So you should have on your calendar, I would send him a new listing to keep in mind every couple of days, and call him every single Monday and ask him those series of questions.
Okay.
Make sense?
That does. Thank you.
Now you should go in and out of as many for sale by owners as you can so that you can get more and more confident and have more and more people in your pipeline. And then every single time you're speaking to him, you're reminding him of his time frame. So any progress with your desire to get down to Florida? Have you started to look at properties down there? Do you happen to have a real estate agent that you trust that you're working with down there? Right. You know, tell me more about Florida. What's unique about Florida for you? Right. And what you're doing is you're getting him talking about his or his wife's desire to get to Florida. And then he walks back into his house after you've left and he's like, damn, I still live here in this overpriced house. What am I going to do with it? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. This is another example, right? If you don't price it correctly at the beginning, you're going to have a significant difference in the amount of time it's available for. Right. And by the way, an interesting way to approach these slides sometimes is to put a couple of these, by the way, don't bring like an 80-page presentation to somebody and expect them to sit through it. Right. Have a handful of slides, this maybe being one of them, that you put in there and say, hey, you know, I appreciate your desire to list this property for $400,000. And I can see that you've done a lot of work and that you've really loved this place. Do you mind if I share a concern with you? Right, that's another way of saying, I think you're wrong. I think I'm right. I would like for you to listen to me. So sit right there and listen to me. Right, that doesn't go off very well. Do you mind if I share a concern with you? Right, here's some data that shows from last quarter what happens when you price the home correctly from day one versus what happens when you don't. Not only do you get a significantly different percentage of list price to sales price ratio, but you're also on the market for a significantly higher number of days, and you risk being one of the, you know, whatever it may be, percentage of failed listings, 26% of homes that don't even sell. So are you going to be able to move to Florida if you don't sell your home? Well, no. So, okay, great. So all we have to do is pick the best strategy and the best price to get you to Florida. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a little confusing of a slide. I find to be a much better way to show you this data. So this is the percentage of failed listings, okay? So no matter how hot the market is, still over a fourth of the listings are not selling, okay? Over a fourth of the listings are not selling, okay? Now, let's look to see that stat based on price range, right? So if you've got a property that's below $300,000, you got a pretty, you shouldn't have a hard time selling it, right? But as you creep up in price, you now start seeing a higher percentage of failed listings. Does that make sense? If you have $1.5 million, $1.5 million listing or more, 7 out of 10 of those homes are just flat out not going to sell, right? But if we go back and look here, the ones that are priced right, 22 days. It's all about price, guys. It's all about price. Okay. Look at this. This is a summary list of 100 finalized listings, okay? This is across all prices. 27 of those properties, like we just looked at, will not sell. They will expire. They will fail to sell, okay? So those we would consider to be overpriced. The other 73% of properties will sell, 73 out of 100. 25 of those will need a price reduction to sell. 48 of those will not need a price reduction to sell, okay? So 60%, 65% of the homes that do need, or that will sell, sold without the need of a price reduction. Those happen to sell in an average of 10 days for 100% of list price. However, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you do not get the price right, then you risk one of two options. One is your price is so off that you don't even sell at all. And the other unfortunate option for you would be you're one of 35% of the homes that do sell, yet need a price reduction first. And then you're going to sell the home for 6.5% less than you would, and in almost 10 times the number of days. So Mr. Seller, that means, would you rather have 100% of your list price after 10 days of making your bed and cleaning your kitchen and counters and putting away everything? Or would you prefer to wait over 3 months for that? Now, when did you need to be to Florida by? And why is that important to you? And why is that important to you? Does that make sense? Any questions on that?
No.
Okay, so you can go in and get this material on a PowerPoint as well, and you can see area 52, for example. So area 52 is over near, like, it is the area that is inside the perimeter, north of I-20, east of like 85 and 400. So it's like that, Druid Hills, Toco Hills, Willoughby, kind of just to the east of Cheshire Bridge, like that area, right? So, and then price range is number 5, which is 500,000 to 749. You can see that even a larger percentage of listings are failing, right? And a larger percentage of listings need a price reduction. See that? So you can input the data area by area and price range by price range. So here's an interesting way to look at this. So this is based on, it looks like all of Metro Atlanta in these particular price ranges. If the seller wants to sell for $525 and they have to reduce the price to sell, they're going to sell for 92.2% of the price, which is $484 in 196 days. If they took the agent's recommendation and priced for $500,000, they would not need a price reduction to sell. So they'd sell for 99.2%, which is $496,000 in 8 days on the market. So even though the price difference is $25,000 lower, they're going to net a higher sales price and 188 fewer days on the market, which is over 6 months. And this is suggesting that it's $2,100 in carrying cost each of those 6 months. So not only do you save $13,160 by the cost savings, but you also, not only do you save $13,160, but you also sell for $11,000 better. You guys follow that? So that's a $25,000 swing. So they have a few blank pages of this in the packet so that you can go in and crunch those numbers. Now you want to crunch the numbers ahead of time because there are certain situations where the math would not work out in your favor. Okay. Does anyone have any questions on that? This is one of my favorite slides of all, right here. Okay, number 28. Sales with list price to sales price ratio of over $100,000. Okay, the gray is non-distressed sales. The red is distressed sales. Does anyone see any red in here?
Very little.
Very little. Just about 0.0% of the market is distressed sales, which is foreclosures and short sales right now. Okay. The reason is because the vast majority of these properties, especially in that $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 price range, have equity. So there's no reason for that home to become a foreclosure. And there's also no reason for that home to become a short sale. So for example, let's say I owned a $400,000 home and I owe $330,000 on it. Okay. And then I lose my job, or my wife loses her job, or there's some kind of illness in the family or something like that, which causes me to be in a financial stressful situation. I am not going to short sale my home because I I can sell it for whatever it's worth and still pay off the mortgage. I'm not going to stop paying my mortgage and let the bank take it back, because then I'll lose my equity. So instead, I would just sell it for what it's worth, take the equity, and move on with my life. Does that make sense? Does everyone understand what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Everyone, please.
Yeah.
If you don't, just shout it out. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's telling us that anybody that comes into you and says, oh, just show me foreclosures, I only want to see foreclosures. Like literally they may be thinking it's still 2009, right? They just need to be told, hey, I don't know if you know this, but foreclosures are like less than 1% of the market right now, right? And the higher you go in price range, the even less likely you are to see that, right? Now, this slide is really important because what it tells us is it says that it's virtually impossible to underprice a home. Okay, 36.1% of the market sold at or above list price. That was 4,600 sales in the second quarter. Multiple offer potential is existing in all of the marketplace, all price ranges. Okay, so if you're sitting in front of a seller and you believe that seller to have a $200,000 to $299,000 property, 43% of the time, they're going to sell at or above list price. So if every factor in the universe supported that home selling for $280 and you happen to price it at $265, somebody's going to be willing to pay more than $265 for it. Does that make sense? The price will be bid up. Okay. Now, let's use a different example. Let's say you got a $1,000 iPad. It's perfect, brand new, never been touched. It's in the perfect packaging. It's got a bow around it and everything. And the market says this thing is worth $1,000. Okay. If you sell it for $1,000 or you put it available for $1,000, you have a steady stream of people that come in and pay $1,000 for it, right? What if I listed it? What if I put it on the market for $1,100? How many people would buy it? I'll wait.
I would.
You would buy a $1,000 iPad for $1,100?
No, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I would not.
Okay, is there anyone that would buy a $1,000 iPad for $1,100?
Nope.
Okay, what happens if I listed it for $900? What would happen?
Better than
You're gonna have
1,000.
There'd be a line out the door.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and what if there was one iPad and I said, all right, guys, give me your highest and best?
You would probably end up getting more than 1,000.
If there was one left, yeah, I probably would end up getting more than 1,000. If there were multiple, I'd probably get 1,000. See what I'm saying? So each of these houses is unique, and therefore, oftentimes they're getting their list price or they're getting more than their list price. Now, this is also a great slide to show a buyer because they need to understand that if they're buying a home in that 1 to 2 price range or 2 to 3 price range, and you probably even want to have this dialogue with all price ranges, say, look, I know you're buying a home for $300,000 to $500,000. I need you to be aware, if I find you the perfect place and we see it and it's everything you've asked for, are you prepared to pay above list price for the home? By the way, I'm not suggesting you overpay for the home. I'm just suggesting I'm asking you if you would be willing to pay more than list price. We would still have the protections of a financing contingency. We'd still have the protection of a appraisal contingency, but I need you to understand that 1/3 of the market will be willing to pay list price or more than list price, and I don't want them to buy the home instead of you. So if you have to pay more than list price to buy this home, how will you feel about that? And their answer specifically to that question will tell you whether they're a good buyer or not. If they say, no, I'm not paying anywhere near list price for a property, so well, I need to let you know, right? The average number of people are paying list price or more than list price. And here's what they pay in this particular price range right now, 98% of list price. So if you want to come in and ask for 80% off or 80% of list price, that's just not realistic in this market, right? Or you hand them that sheet of paper and say, here's a piece of data. What do you think about this? Tell me what you see. Sometimes if it's their idea, that sinks in a little bit more. So tell me what you see here, sir. And they say, well, gosh, got a lot of homes selling at list price or above list price. I guess I got to go in at list price or above list price. Say, you might have to. My job is to help you with that decision. Sometimes you may have to, and sometimes you may not have to. But I'm gonna be right next to you every step of the way. Make sense? Okay. Again, when homes sell at or above list price, they sell very quickly. 6 days on the market. Okay. Here's a summary. So you can read through this summary, right? 52% of listings were still overpriced. 26.7% of listings failed to sell, right? Days on the market, 25. I'll show you this. So let's look at Brian, can I use your MREA2 thing real fast?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to show you guys something really fast. Okay. All right. Can you guys see that? Can you see that? What do you see?
Yes.
Okay, so if we go to Brian has a business that
It looks like your schedule though.
oh, oops, hang on. How about now?
Yes.
Okay, so Brian has a business that says he needs 2 listings at all times in order to hit his goals. Okay, each of us should have this document. I have sent all of you guys a copy of this document. It's a shared file with your last name and then MREA2. Okay, Brian needs 2 listings at all times, but that's with an average day of 39 days on the market. Okay, so if we lower that to 25, he still needs 2 listings at all times. If we were to lower that to 10, he only needs 1 listing now, because those homes are going to come on the market and sell that fast. Okay, but let's say the market took a turn and now all of a sudden it takes 50 days on average to sell a home. Now he needs 3 listings at all times. Does everyone see that? Do y'all follow that?
Got it.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things we want to do is constantly be evaluating what is the market that we're attempting to be successful in here, right? And do we know the data well enough to prepare ourselves and to come up with a game plan? And of course, do we know the data enough to share it with the community at large and with our prospects so that we know how to advise our clients? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so what have we heard today? What questions do we have? Are we nervous about anything? Talk to me. If I were to ask you how many listings do you need at all times in order to hit your financial goals, would each of you be able to tell me? Have you memorized that number?
I would.
I hope so. That's funny. What about everyone else?
I can tell you what Brian needs.
So guys, that's kind of like owning a store and not knowing how much inventory you got to hold, or owning a store and not knowing how much, bread, how much grain you got to buy in order to make the bread, or how many coffee beans you got to buy in order to make the amount of coffee that you'll need to make and sell. Okay. So we are probably heading for a little rougher waters in the real estate space. And the way that you're going, your best shot at defending yourself and protecting your moat and protecting your business and protecting your database is educating yourself and the consumer and the people that trust you and like you to make sure that they know that you're the right person to go to when they have a real estate question. Okay. I wish it was a different way, but the only way we're ever going to see appointments and closings is by having conversations with people. There's no other way. Would everyone like me to tell you what your number is?
Yes.
Okay. Charleston, I'm coming to you first. Are you there? Charleston, you need 2 listings at all times in order to hit your financial goals, okay?
I knew that. I was saying that on mute.
Okay. 2 listings and 18 contacts per day. That's a lot of contacts. Okay. If you don't have 2 listings, there is basically nothing, not a single thing more important than getting those 2 listings.
I know mine. It's
Okay.
2 a month.
It's not necessarily a month, by the way. It's just 2 at all times.
2 at all times.
Okay. Jonathan, you know what yours is? Yours is 3. Actually, good thing you went down from 3 to 2 because the number of days in the market lowered. So you have an easier burden now. All you need is 2.
All right, thanks.
All right. Still got to talk to 18 people a day though.
Correct.
Okay. David, do you know what yours is?
Yeah, 1.
1? Yep, yours is 1.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to talk to 19 people a day though. Lots of work. Who else are we looking at? Donna?
Yeah, mine is 2 at all times.
All right, Heather, do you know what yours is?
I thought it was 3, but am I wrong?
I'll double check. Hang on. I don't think it is 3. Yours is going to be 1. 1 and 11 contacts per day.
Okay. I want to change it though. I want to make it 2 then.
Awesome. See, this call was worth it already. You just made yourself probably doubled your income overnight. Okay. We got just a couple minutes left. So I want to encourage you guys to review all the Chartmasters images. If you have some specific questions on how any of that material is presented, or you aren't sure exactly what a particular slide means, or you're not you're trying to figure out a way to explain it, or you're looking at this and saying, is this more applicable for a buyer or seller, or under what circumstances would I consider using this? Let's talk about it as a group, okay? Now, talk to me while I got you guys as a captive audience. I'm looking at a lot of your numbers here and don't see any goals or actuals. How can I help you guys put the numbers there so I know what you're struggling with? I'm going to post the link right here. Please catch up for the first couple weeks of the year, or catch up for the first couple weeks of July, okay? So there's several of us that don't have goals or actuals for any of the weeks of July. Please, please, please. We can't improve what we're not tracking, okay?
Do you want us to track them? Do you want us to, because what I've been doing is keeping my own sheet and then like the night of going in and putting them in, or do you want us to put them in as we go on your sheet?
Oh no, I'm fine with you tracking them yourself and then on the final day, just adding them up.
Okay.
So Heather, you are doing fantastic, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So the others, if you can click that link and go in tab by tab, July 1st through 7th, 8th through 14th, and then by the end of the day tomorrow will be the 15th through the 21st, and add in your data. Okay. I want you guys to see the importance of doing it, not for work's sake, but so that you can be assisted in ways that are most meaningful to you, and so that we can coach you to get exactly what you want. Okay.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Is anyone having any particular issue with that, or doesn't like doing it, or want to talk about it? No? Okay. In the last couple of minutes, what can I help you with right now? Everything must be going dandy, huh?
I don't have anything today.
You don't have anything today. Okay. Charleston, what about you?
Well, I have a potential listing appointment on Thursday set up. So I'm currently working on updating my listing presentation to be ready for that. So I'm definitely going to add a couple of those Chartmasters slides to that too.
Awesome. Awesome. Very good. Thank you for that.
So that's the only thing I updated in my numbers was the set appointment. I didn't put the other numbers in because I think Heather was the one who said it. I track it somewhere else and then I'll just transfer it over once I guess tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah. So it looks like you filled out some stuff for the 15th through the 21st, but don't forget that ends tomorrow. I just don't see anything for the first 2 weeks of the month.
For me?
Yeah.
I'm sure I did.
For the first week, I see something. You made 3 contacts, so I know you made more than that. So go in and change that.
Okay.
All right. All right, you guys. Don't forget tomorrow we will do our morning huddle, and then our growth and emerging mastermind is from 4 to 5. And remember, we changed our all group session on Thursday to 12 o'clock to allow you guys to do the Chartmasters from 2 to 4 with Andy. Okay. All right, let me know if you need anything. Go out there and build that database.
Thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Yep.